What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today is going to be a little bit of a different one. It's not a vlog style. It's actually going to be an editing tutorial. I've been reached out to by a couple of people. They've asked, how do I edit my photos? And so today I thought I would run through my process on how you take this picture of this Porsche and then turn it into this. This one took a lot of clone stamping and photoshopping and a lot of color adjustments, so I thought this would be the perfect one to show just how I go through my process and how you can get a finished product just like that. So without further ado, let's roll the intro, let's get editing, let's go. Okay, now let's hop into Lightroom and get this edited. So here's our image. So we're going to start with just basic color correction and getting the colors just right, and then we'll take it into Photoshop and take away all this distracting background stuff and make it just look a lot cleaner. I already did one adjustment before recording, just the cropping and aligning, so that's just make sure you follow the rules of thirds, put the car right in the middle and make sure there's enough, the same amount of spacing on both sides, and then we'll start getting the colors figured out. So I want to bring the exposure up just a little bit. I always underexpose my pictures just so I can make sure I get all the detail in the sky and don't lose any of that information. So we'll go that high, 0 point. Yeah, that looks about right. And now you can see the sky's a little bit bright. And for my photos, I like my pictures being really contrasty and very, I say, cinematic looking, so I kind of pump the contrast way up in my photos. So let's go about right there. Just kind of makes the blacks very just deep and rich. And then, but now all this information is being lost here, and plus there's some highlights on the car I don't want to have shown, so we'll lower the highlights down. Let's go like, not as far, we'll go like negative, let's go negative 28. And see, that brings back some of the information in the clouds, but then we're going to be doing some selective editing on the ground and the sky and even the car to just bring all the detail back and adjust everything how we want to. So now we'll bring up the shadows a bit, because you can see there's kind of not much detail being shown, especially on like the diffuser and the wheels. Let's bring the shadows up to like about there. Brought back a little bit of information, but we're going to selective edit the car in a little bit and bring back even more out of the shadows. And then I like to bring the clarity in these pictures. It just kind of makes the photo just have just a little more intensity to it. Some people don't like to use clarity on like car photos, but I think this picture, especially just for the intense like feel we're trying to go for it, this is what we want. So let's go make it even 50 on the clarity, and that should be all the adjustments we need to make on this first section. Now we'll adjust the colors specifically. So the reds, I kind of want to make the reds a little more intense just to make the taillights pop a little bit. We'll go about there, and then we're actually going to be taking out a lot more of the blues. So we're going to be dropping the blues down to, let's go about like, let's go about 64. I actually want to bring the temperature up a little bit because we're actually going to be bringing the blues back into the photo. Let's go 6500 on that, and then bring the tint down just a little bit. Bring in just a little more greens. I kind of don't want any purples or anything in the photo. I want this to be very just blue and yellow and red. And let's brighten up the reds a little bit. Brighten up the oranges too, because you can see with the oranges as I go up, it's really subtle, but the calipers are changing and the tip of the wing is getting highlighted when you increase the oranges and the yellows just a little bit. So we'll go out there. That works for the color-wise. Now we'll go to the color wheels. This is what took me the longest to learn, was just figuring out how to make the color wheels work. So I always kind of start with the shadows. I hardly ever add into the highlights, but let's go about like, yeah, let's go right there with the shadows, and then maybe lean this one a little more to the teal greenish area for that wheel, and then the highlights I'm just gonna leave alone. But you can see now that we've raised the brightness, raised the colors, the picture is very grainy and has a lot of noise to it, so I'm actually gonna noise reduce it a little bit just to smooth out the photo and make it look like it's not too grainy, which, like, hey, if you want grain in your photo, want it to be more of like a film look, then by all means leave the noise down. But for me, I like my photos to be nice and smooth and able to be printed and not have a ton of just the grain all over, so that's what I like to do. You always want to use this tool right here because each lens has their own issues, and they sometimes like vignette some more and all this stuff, but Lightroom has gone in and made this little tool right here so you can correct the issues that each lens has, and it instantly detects in the metadata which lens you took this photo with. So you can see it down here as the Canon 35mm. So if I click enable profile corrections, it takes away all the vignetting and adjusts the warping that the lens causes. Also remove the chromatic aberration just to do that, and then, but I kind of want the vignetting still, so I'll add, then we'll go about -15, but then that vignetting's a little too intense for me, so we'll adjust the vignetting up and feather it out a little bit. And yeah, so that's all the basic edits on this one. Now we're going to be selective editing, so we're gonna be using these masks up here. So I like to start with the linear gradients, and we'll pull up from the bottom. Since I use this gradient all the time, Lightroom already has this pre-saved for me pretty much, but I usually decrease the exposure on the bottom by -0.3 just to draw attention upward to the car. So -0.3, and you can just see just from the bottom it brought that brings your direction more to the car. But now we'll do the same in the sky just to bring this information back, and I kind of pull it down a little farther just to darken more of the clouds. But then here we're actually also going to decrease the temperature a little bit, just to bring some of the blues back into the photo. So we'll go, let's go like -18-ish. Let's go about there. And now you can see it just brings a little bit more color back into the image, and brings back the blues that we took out originally. And then let's also lower the exposure down. Maybe we'll just bring the highlights down just a little more too, just to bring back that information. And it looks good there. And then this is the most handy dandy tool that they have, is the select subject mask that Lightroom has. So you can see it picks out the car pretty dang well. There's some stuff that we have to touch up, so I'll go to subtract and then click brush. We'll go through and take out like the road, so we don't need to be adjusting that. And I'll even take out what's under the wing because I don't want to brighten up the sky and everything behind it and make that look uneven. So we'll pull that out, adjust it, and then we'll even do an add tool here because not all of the car got selected, so we'll add in a little bit of it. And if you overshoot, you can just click, I'm on PC, so if you click Alt, hold Alt down, then you can go to a subtract brush. But yeah, we got the car selected, so now let's do the adjustments here. And let's raise the exposure up just one little click up. We'll even increase the contrast just a little bit more, and drop the highlights down to make it a little more even, and also raise the shadows up so you can see kind of how the detail in the blacks. So now you can actually see the diffuser and see the exhaust tips and see the wheels. So we'll bring the shadows to, let's go about there, let's go to 20. And yeah, that's kind of all we need to do to the car specifically. So really, as far as editing goes, this is the image without just any photoshopping done. This is the final just color correction. So now we'll actually go up here, go edit in, and take this over to Photoshop. And this is where the extensive work comes in. So now we're here in Photoshop. Wonder. Okay. Yeah, so you can see here. We just want to take out all of these things. Okay, so here's me making a rookie mistake when I took this photo. Even me being a year and a half into taking photos and taking tens of thousands of pictures, I still make a rookie mistake. And I have my car here in frame. Yeah, there's my BMW and all this stuff, so I should have just moved the car. But since I didn't, this is in frame, and we're going to have to remove all of that. And also I want to remove all the little light spots around the car, and then also I want to get rid of this building and extend this wall out so it's a much more even photo. So first we'll do the easy things. You click J on the keyboard and it brings up the spot healing brush tool. And this one you can adjust the size of, and it just uses the AI and takes out all the little spots. So maybe we'll speed up this process a little bit so you don't have to watch me just take out a million little dots of dirt and everything. So let me get all this little selective editing out of here, and then we'll pick right back up. Now we're going to be taking out these light poles, which most of the time the spot healing brush tool works, just to swipe over and take them out like that. But sometimes you have to use what's called the clone stamp tool to get them out and just make them look nice, because sometimes they leave like this weird line in the photo, and if you try to take them out, sometimes it just doesn't work right. Lightroom works 99% of the time, but sometimes you just have to use a different tool to try to get them to work right. So I think for the rest of these, we're gonna have to use the clone stamp tool. See if I can get this one gone without using that. I don't like how it looks, so we'll use the clone stamp tool. So right over here is the clone stamp tool. Just like the other one, you can pick the size you want to use, but what this one does is you click Alt, you hold over an area, and now that area that you clicked Alt over, you get to copy that wherever you want. But now, as like you move your mouse, the area that you picked changes too. So we'll just pick a different spot and try to make sure we don't duplicate patterns, but we keep the same kind of patterns going here. So you can see for like this area, there's this more grayish tan stuff at the bottom. So you want to make sure that you don't copy from up here, put it down here, because that just throws the whole flow off. So you want to grab a spot of the mountain that has that little bit of gray, so you can continue the same pattern you see at the bottom here. And one thing you have to keep in mind, especially for spots like here, is just the mountain and the peak of it. So what I like to do is copy a spot right here and then bring it down and make sure you line the peaks up. And you can click that, and then it takes away the telephone pole. Actually, so let's click J again, bring up the clone stamp tool. We'll just take that one out. It's okay if that peak is a little bit different. No one's gonna know, but I guess now everybody will know that the peak is not the same on this photo when I post it on Instagram. That worked out a little bit. You can kind of see there's like these little weird anomalies in the photo. That's what happens sometimes with the clone stamp tool. And we'll use the clone stamp over here also. I want to get rid of this whole building. So we're actually gonna make this a little smaller. We'll make sure you can see this building is all within this grayish stuff and not the bluish stuff on the mountain. So you only want to pick from here. Then we'll start just painting the building away. We'll even go up here to the mountain and make sure we just run along the line at the top. We'll clean up that edge a little bit. I will drop the size of this down and start painting away that building. Just like that, the building's gone. So now let's try to tackle getting rid of this spot. So I want to continue this wall down just to make the look very just even. Okay, so now increase the hardness and so we'll try to copy this. Let's copy over here so we can grab this pole, like the edge of the of this pole post right here. We'll actually bring the size down a little bit. Let's copy that over. Try to line up the edge here, like that. And then continue on over a little bit. One thing you want to keep in mind is here on the right side of the circle that you don't start cloning over onto the car. So we'll go about right. There. Then let's clone stamp this spot. Over like that, and then we can kind of put the edge of the post there. And make sure you don't. You can see where we're copying moves with the mouse, so make sure you don't go over other objects. And so you can kind of see, we'll even out the top just a little more. And yeah, now we have a wall that continues all the way through. And it looks actually pretty even. Now here's the hard part, is getting rid of all of this and making it look even. So with the clone stamp tool, what I did was I took this section right here, and then I copied it. Maybe go a little bit bigger. Took this section here, lined up the poles a little bit, and wheel. So I took this area. What I did is I copied this pole right here, put it at the same height as that one, and then just drug along a little farther. Went kind of like that. So what I did, copy right here, this lined up, so you can see the holes are starting to increase. So looks like right there. Okay, we're gonna have to swap. Camera just died. Last thing, love this thing. This battery life is horrible. So let's continue on. So we just copied one little post over here, and then we're gonna throw this post about there, and then we'll just kind of line up the bottoms a little bit to even those out. Let's bring this down. Make the bottom just a little bit better. Don't worry, I know it looks like it's an obvious copy of each post, but we'll go through and get these adjusted. Edit out parts of black to make them look a little different. Leave that black line there. Clean that one out all the way, and makes the picture look a lot more even. And yeah, so let's save this, send it back over to Lightroom, and there is the completed photo with all the distractions taken out, all the color adjustments made, and I personally think it looks amazing. It's actually currently my phone wallpaper. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that editing tutorial, and what I'll do is I'll leave a Google Drive in the link so you can actually go download this raw picture and follow along if you want. You can play back this video, follow it along again, and edit it yourself so you can kind of just try it out for yourself, because that's the best way to learn, is just to do it yourself. So again, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you found this valuable, and if you want me to do more editing tutorials, I actually really enjoy doing this, so if there's any other pictures you want to see how I created it, just let me know in the comments below. And thank you so much again for watching and sticking around. We hit 100 subscribers in the channel, and I really, really appreciate all the support and love that you guys show me. So thank you again so much, and I hope you have a great day. See you later.